Direct military conflict ignited in the Persian Gulf when Iranian military units executed a synchronized ballistic rocket assault on the USS Abraham Lincoln carrier battle formation, constituting the gravest confrontation between American and Iranian military units in recent decades. The strike embodied Tehran's deliberate reprisal for an incident transpiring 68 hours prior, when an F-35C Lightning II from the Flattop destroyed an Iranian Shahed-129 reconnaissance drone, flying at the edge of the battle group's protection perimeter. The Shahed-129, a medium-altitude, long-endurance platform matching earlier generation Predator system capabilities, had been performing continuous observation of the American fleet for almost 14 hours. Outfitted with electro-optical instruments and signals intelligence suites, the drone held position roughly 32 nautical miles from the carrier, systematically charting radar broadcasts, monitoring ship trajectories, and recording defensive platform arrangements. American electronic countermeasure specialists identified the UAV's information transmission pulses, forwarding live intelligence to Iranian command facilities, supplying Tehran with detailed targeting data on among the U.S. Navy's most critical resources. The F-35C secured radar contact at maximum distance. Its APG-81 ESA radar monitoring the slow-flying drone with exactness while staying essentially undetectable to Iranian early alert networks. Following broadcast of repeated alerts on international emergency bands that went unanswered, the stealth aircraft deployed an AIM-1 to ODM ROM at 8:43 hours local standard time. The sophisticated air-to-air weapon traversed the gap in less than 90 seconds, its active radar guidance directing it to a clean strike that obliterated the Shahed-129 at 18,000 feet altitude. Wreckage dispersed throughout a 6-square-mile section of international territory, with the drone's sensor suite and flight recorder descending immediately. Iranian command echelons interpreted the destruction as intolerable aggression, insisting on swift retaliation. The Shahed-129 embodied substantial commitment in domestic drone engineering, and its elimination removed vital intelligence gathering capacity at a pivotal moment. More critically, Revolutionary Guard leaders identified a window to showcase their anti-vessel ballistic rocket systems against a premium objective whose exact position and defensive arrangement were now exhaustively recorded courtesy of the destroyed drone's concluding intelligence feeds. Supreme National Security Council discussions wrapped within 18 hours, sanctioning deployment of the Khaibar-4 platform against the carrier formation. The armament represented Iran's most cutting-edge anti-ship system, merging a medium-range ballistic rocket frame with a maneuvering descent module engineered particularly to overcome Aegis category defensive platforms. Intelligence gathered by the eliminated Shahed-129 would steer the weapons with exceptional precision, converting reconnaissance information into strike coordinates. At 3:47 hours, 72 kilometers northeast of Bandar Abbas, mobile platform vehicles raised for Khaibar-4 rockets to launch attitude. The weapons fired together, their solid fuel propulsion driving them upward on flame pillars observable from merchant shipping channels 40 miles away. Flight optimization positioned them on elevated curving routes, engineered to challenge interception mathematics while maximizing descent speed. The rockets ascended swiftly through atmosphere, jettisoning their acceleration phases at designated elevations. As they climbed toward apex altitude surpassing 180 kilometers. On the Abraham Lincoln, SPY-1D radar installations identified the departures within 11 seconds of ignition. The combat data center burst into disciplined urgency as duty officers analyzed threat feeds flowing across numerous screens. Recognition software classified the armaments as ballistic rockets with projected strike coordinates. Landing within the carrier formation S arrangement, general quarters resonated across the flotilla as personnel sprinted to combat positions while computerized defensive patterns activated throughout several vessels. The cruiser USS Lake Champlain reacted initially, its bow Mark 41 vertical deployment mechanism releasing SM-3 Block IIA interceptors in quick series. The weapons accelerated to hypersonic speeds, their three-phase drive mechanisms propelling them toward engagement coordinates. In the high atmosphere, infrared trackers chilled to functional levels as internal processors handled targeting. Information uploaded through network connection. The initial kinetic destruction module detached smoothly at 142 kilometers elevation, its directional jets discharging in microsecond pulses to adjust trajectory angles. Collision happened at 3:51 hours and 34 seconds. The destruction module contacted the first Khaibar-4's descent module at a combined approach velocity surpassing 30,000 kilometers hourly, the impact unleashing force matching multiple tons of explosive. The ballistic rocket fragmented immediately, its pieces starting their extended drop toward ocean level. Data transmission verified successful elimination, and the subsequent SM-3 accomplished comparable outcomes 18 seconds afterward against the second approaching danger. The third Khaibar-4 exhibited capabilities confirming worst-scenario intelligence evaluations. As it descended through atmosphere, the maneuvering descent module triggered, performing sideways propulsion actions that displaced its flight path by almost 40 kilometers from anticipated strike location. The SM-3's destruction module locked into its engagement mathematics from prior trajectory information, traveled 310 meters from the dodging objective. The Iranian rocket proceeded its fall, now reaching Mach 7 as air resistance overheated its heat shield mechanisms. SM-6 interceptors, deployed from both Lake Champlain and destroyer USS Spruance, attacked the remaining danger at intermediate elevation. The dual-function trackers held contact through the ionized envelope surrounding the hypersonic descent module. Detonation triggers firing both interceptors within killing distance. Fragmentation payloads shredded the Khaibar-4's frame, yet the front warhead portion preserved adequate structural wholeness to pursue ballistic drop. Internal navigation mechanisms quit, but inertia transported the wreckage toward the carrier array. The Lincoln's point protection platforms detected the approaching debris. At 8 kilometers distance, three 11-barrel rotating cannons tilted to peak angle, their 20mm guns discharging tungsten rounds at combined velocities exceeding 13,500 projectiles per minute. Tracer ammunition traced merging fire lines through the early sky as radar platforms monitored hundreds of separate debris chunks. The protection bombardment pulverized most debris into insignificant particles, yet multiple bigger portions endured to strike the water surface 730 meters from the carrier's starboard flank. Detonation forces lifted massive water spouts observable from all ships in the array, shock energy propagating across surface before fading. The fourth Khaibar-4 met SM-6 engagement at 38 kilometers elevation. Ruinous warhead blast negated the danger before final phase steering could challenge interception mathematics. Wreckage descended harmlessly into vacant water distant from any American ships. Yet Iranian strategy expected defensive triumph against the opening barrage. The assault design required progressive attacks crafted to exhaust the defender's rocket supply and reaction ability. 6 minutes following the initial departures, second-tier batteries discharged for more Khaibar-4 south from locations 95 kilometers. Interior, their positioning areas shielded by intersecting surface-to-air rocket protection that challenged American counter-fire alternatives. Concurrently, shore protection batteries deployed C-80 to anti-vessel cruise rockets, their wave-skimming routes arriving from unanticipated angles. The carrier formation's protection reaction intensified. SM-2 rockets attacked the cruise rocket. Dangers. Their semi-active radar trackers steering them to eliminations at distances between 12 and 28 kilometers. 3 C-802s shattered under clean strikes while a fourth dodged to weapons. Before SM-6 reserve engagement eliminated it at 7 kilometers altitude. The destroyer's 5-inch cannons attacked further cruise rockets spotted by forward-stationed helicopters. Timed fuse ammunition generated shrapnel barriers that damaged to weapons adequately to trigger navigation breakdowns. The subsequent ballistic rocket attack demanded SM-3 employment at maximum distance, stressing the interceptor's capability boundaries. 3 successful eliminations transpired at elevations between 155 and 168 kilometers, while the fourth Khaibar-4 once more exhibited maneuvering capacities that thwarted opening engagement efforts. SM-6 reserve interceptors eliminated the evading weapon at 44 kilometers elevation. After consuming 12 interceptors to guarantee destruction chance against the steering objective, Revolutionary Guard speed attack vessels poured from shore installations in synchronized swarm approaches. Scores of compact craft armed with rocket launchers and anti-vessel weapons charging toward the American array at velocities surpassing 40 knots. The destroyer Frank E. Peterson Jr. responded with primary cannons and proximity armament platforms. 20 and 25 millimeter guns sweeping the closing vessels with annihilating results. 11 craft experienced catastrophic destruction within the opening for minutes of battle. Secondary blasts devouring multiple as internal munitions ignited. The remaining vessels abandoned their advance, fleeing toward Iranian territorial boundaries under protective barrage from shore installations. FA-18E Super Hornets, deployed from the Lincoln S flight deck, performed suppression operations against Iranian radar sites and mobile platform locations. The attack formation encountered fierce resistance. SA-15 and SA-20 surface-to-air weapons attacking the jets as they neared their objectives. 2 Super Hornets used complete countermeasure reserves while performing high-G defensive actions. 1 receiving slight destruction from proximity blast before landing on the carrier. The attacks demolished 3 radar sites and harmed for probable platform positions, though follow-up observation indicated numerous mobile platforms had previously relocated to backup locations. For 28 hours, the battle finished. The carrier formation stayed functional, yet had consumed 187 surface-to-air weapons across every classification, constituting 61% of the array's protection magazine volume. No American ship experienced clean strikes, though the close approach by Khaibar-4 wreckage necessitated hull examinations to confirm structural soundness. Iranian units forfeited and approximated 18 speed attack vessels, several radar sites, and countless mobile platforms to American return bombardment. Though their ballistic rocket stockpiles stayed predominantly untouched in fortified complexes, past immediate access, the combat trade proved multiple essential truths. Iranian anti-vessel ballistic rockets commanded adequate complexity to endanger American maritime resources when used in flooding strikes, especially the maneuvering descent modules that overcame repeated engagement tries. The intelligence furnished by the Sheit-129 preceding its elimination proved priceless, permitting Iranian units to schedule their strikes during recognized weakness intervals and focus particular defensive platform constraints. American protection platforms functioned efficiently, yet disclosed troubling consumption percentages when confronting synchronized multi-direction strikes, blending ballistic rockets, cruise weapons, and swarm approaches. The battle fundamentally modified regional protection computations. Iran proved readiness to straight confront American military strength with sophisticated armament, creating precedent for subsequent confrontations. Carrier formations, formerly immune to major dangers in most functional settings, now encounter authentic hazard when functioning near opponents, commanding sophisticated access denial capacities. The expansion pattern from drone observation to destruction to ballistic rocket payback disclosed. How swiftly standard functions convert into significant military battles in challenged settings, where both parties sustain hostile attitudes and inadequate crisis dialogue structures. Regional steadiness now hinges on both participants acknowledging shared weakness while absent diplomatic structures to control unavoidable tension locations, establishing situations where error might activate disastrous expansion, with consequences reaching well past the Persian Gulf. Two worldwide energy commerce partnership frameworks and superpower rivalry patterns that progressively characterize modern geopolitical terrain. Global maritime trade confronts interruption as vessel insurance premiums for Gulf passage increase dramatically, compelling energy-reliant economies to pursue alternative distribution channels or accept considerably elevated shipping expenses. Gulf Arab nations quicken their personal military upgrade initiatives, acquiring sophisticated rocket protection platforms and pursuing safety assurances from numerous authorities concurrently, dividing the territorial protection design into rival factions. The proof of functional anti-ship ballistic rocket usage hastens distribution, as additional territorial participants chase comparable capacities, converting ocean settings internationally. As the period of uncontested carrier formation superiority reaches lasting conclusion,